From the beginning of time, man has always had a pursuit of the best quality of life possible. That quality of life is not possible without resources. The form of resources we have accumulated has changed over time from cowrie shells, state-controlled money, precious metals, real estate, and stocks and bonds. Over the past 100 years, the world has been dominated by the US dollar and its reserves. But everything that has a beginning also has an end. A new financial revolution is upon us with the emergence of a digital economy. The way we earn, spend, and accumulate resources is fundamentally changing. A new asset has appeared that the wealthy have overlooked. Bitcoin has become the best performing asset of the past decade by far. With only 21 million ever in existence, there are more millionaires and billionaires in the world today than there are Bitcoin. Just by holding 0.25 Bitcoin today will put you in the top 1% asset holders in the world in the next 5 to 10 years. If you would have invested $100,000 in Bitcoin in 2013, today it will be worth more than $15 million. Bitcoin billionaire Raoul Pal says, Bitcoin's performance is so dominant and so all-encompassing that it is going to suck in every single asset narrative dry and spit it out. Never before in my career have I seen a trade so dominant that holding any other assets makes almost no sense. This is not an industry you can afford to ignore. If you want to remain in business, then you must adapt. Are you offering services in Bitcoin? Are you accepting payments with digital currencies? Have you adopted blockchain technology? Blockbuster Video at one point was the most dominant video service in the world. They had the opportunity to be part of Netflix, but they ignored the changing technology. Where is Blockbuster today? Where will you be tomorrow? All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our special Tuesday night live Diamond class, where this is the class on Tuesday and Wednesday nights for those of you that's watching on the free side in the Facebook group that we do for our Diamond and founding members. This is our $199 a month class twice a week that these members are getting. And tonight we're going to be opening it up for free for everybody for a couple of reasons. One, give you guys a sneak peek at what we do on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. And two, because of the topic, the nature of the topic tonight has to do with banks. And this is the hottest topic in the land right now. There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt about what's going on in the banking world, the banking industry. Is our money safe in the banks? Why are the banks having problems right now? What can we do to protect ourselves? I mean, I've been getting so many questions. It's not even funny. Let's do a test run. Let's make sure if you guys can hear me. Testing, because Patty says you can't hear me. So can everybody hear me? Type Y in the chat box if I'm good to go. I need to double check that. So we good? Can you guys hear me? All right, there we go. And normally we do this on Zoom. And on Zoom, we have our private members that are able to do Q&A. But since we're doing it on StreamYard right now, we're streaming it live, we have some of those members that's actually on the panel with me on this side. I've got Mr. Michael Pendleton, Herschel Crow, Miss Marnita Casa, and Patty Geis on this side. So at the end, when we do Q&A, I'll bring them up to ask any questions or share any comments. Now, again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandon Ivy. I am the CEO and founder of Ivy League Crypto Academy from Los Angeles, California. As a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share suggestions for entertainment, training, and educational purposes only. And it is up to you to make your own informed, intelligent decision. Just to recognize a few people I see even on, we're in multiple groups here. I see Brenda Green, Yolanda Elin, Mr. Albert, Dagmar, also Michael Pendleton, Herschel Crow, Miss Marnita Casa, Patty Geis, Kenny Taylor. Let's see who else has said something. Dagmar's there. A lot of Facebook users, St. Petersburg, Florida. That must be Jacqueline. I don't see your name. It just says Facebook user. I see Martha Cameron, Carla Crow, and I don't know. Everybody else is Facebook users. All right. So let's jump on into this. So how this normally works, we have more than 100 videos in Ivy League Crypto Academy covering Bitcoin 101, advanced crypto, how to trade Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, Internet of Things, which those of you in the WCL community, we've been covering that on these past Mondays. Also, DeFi, decentralized finance, NFTs, and metaverse. So right now on Tuesday nights, we are covering DeFi, and we're about, I think, six or seven lessons in. And this one just happened to pop up: banks versus decentralized finance. So not only am I going to do the lesson itself, but you know me, when I do it live, I'm going to ad lib and I'm going to share a lot of information that's relevant to what's happening today. And keep in mind, I wrote this course last year, so I have not looked at this course since then, since last year. In fact, I think this is the first time. Yeah, this is the first time I'm actually training on this course live. So I want to look to see if there's anything that's outdated and if it relates to what's taking place today in the banking world. So let me pull this up and get this started here. All right, banks versus decentralized finance. Now, before I start reading this, let's do a quick recap on what's happened over the past week and a half. About a week and a half ago on Friday, actually a couple of days before that, shit started to hit the fan, starting with Silvergate. Silvergate started having problems, but not too many people paid attention to that. And then a bank called Silicon Valley Bank on a Friday, huge problems. More than $40 billion was withdrawn from the bank before Saturday night. And the FDIC came swooping in and seized everything and shut everything down to prevent any further withdrawals, and took over and made a statement that anybody with accounts with up to $250,000, you're automatically insured. Don't worry about it. But who really got hurt were the investors. Had a whole lot more than $250,000. And people said, why? What happened? I don't understand. Now, depending on who you listen to, everybody has an opinion. But here's some of those opinions. I'm going to give you two. One side said, oh, the government is going after crypto banks. Any bank that's messing with crypto, the government's going after them, like YVB or Silicon Valley Bank or the Signature Bank in New York. Both of them, a lot of crypto businesses were doing business with those small regional banks. The other theory, if you listen to Fox News and the right media, is that the woke leftist democratic bank policies is what caused those banks to fail. Neither of them are correct. The real reason what happened is that the Federal Reserve raised their interest rates, which took a hit on all of the government bonds. And who was purchasing these government bonds? These small regional banks. So now the value of those bonds went down and the balance sheets on all the banks took a hit. Now, this happens over time and it's really no big deal, because what a bank would do is they would raise funds on the back end to cover the negative balance sheet, and nobody would even know about it. But why was it different this time around? The reason is because the CEO, the man in charge of Silicon Valley Bank, decided full disclosure and made a public statement that, oh, wow, we found ourselves 1.3 billion in the hole. Looking for raise some money, investors, to cover that before Monday morning. Normally, he would have covered that with no problem. But when investors got wind of this, they got spooked because of what just happened with Silvergate Bank. They're like, wait a minute, this is the second bank. Yeah, we need to pull our money out just in case it's worse than what he's saying it is. And then they did something that has never happened in modern history before in America in the banking system. They took full advantage of social media. See, when you think of a bank run, a classic bank run is like It's a Wonderful Life. You wait till you get off of work or lunch break, you run down to the bank to pull your cash out, only to realize that the bank says there is no cash. There's no cash in the ATM machines, and the bank doors are locked, and everybody's running on the bank. But this run on the bank happened digitally. Nobody had to leave their home. They all did it with their smartphones, and they all found out about it because everybody on social media was spreading the word like wildfire. And next thing you know, 40 billion is being pulled out in the blink of an eye faster than they can move. That's what spooked the FDIC and why they swooped in. So what happened next was, after the FDIC swooped in, now there's fear and panic in the banking industry. Wait, if that can happen to Silicon Valley Bank, then that can happen to other banks. And then all of a sudden, $7 billion was being pulled from Signature Bank in New York. And what did the government do? Swooped on in because they needed to stop the bleed from a bigger, widespread bank run on Monday morning. Now, there is a simple solution to all of this. And those of you in my Inner Circle Crypto Talk, I shared it yesterday and I shared it this morning. And it was actually brought up by some, I think it was Republican congressman, that said there's a legislation that they want. And no, all the banks are sending a letter to Congress telling them to write legislation to ensure all bank deposits, regardless of amount, for the next 2 years. If you do that, that will bring confidence back to the market. And if you bring confidence back to the market, that will prevent people from pulling their money out of the bank. And we will stop the bank run. But they're not going to do that because, in my opinion, and I have no shame in saying this is based on my opinion, not a fact. Just because I believe something doesn't mean it's factual. People have a hard time with that concept. But I believe, not on facts, but I believe that this is done on purpose. That is it so coincidence that the Federal Reserve, that ran their mouths about government bonds and for banks and pushing banks to get secured government bonds, you can't get no safer than that. And then they turn around and raise the interest rates. And why did they raise the interest rates? To fight inflation. So they raise the interest rates knowing it's going to hurt the bonds, knowing the banks are going to get hurt by this. Not the big banks, the little banks. And then after the little banks get hurt by this, the FDIC swoops in and takes them over. This is a hostile takeover. This is gangster move in the banking industry, because there's a bigger plan on this. That bigger plan is CBDC. But to do that, you've got to cause massive disruption in the industry so that the people will be willingly wanting it. I couldn't believe that this morning I actually agreed with Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, who's writing a bill legislation right now to end his reasoning behind it. I actually agree with, but we got our circle to get that. That was this morning. But I believe this is all that they set it up this way to happen for a hostile takeover. And the solution is simple. They're not going to go with the solution because they want this to happen. Now, what's the result for the crypto space? I'm not a banker. I'm not a financial advisor. I am not a financial expert. I am an investor. And I know limited, as much as you hear me say, this is limited knowledge. And what it does for us is we saw the crypto market explode. Now, we also found this out in our inner circle. All of the crypto so-called wannabe experts that have thousands of YouTube and Twitter followers got it wrong. They're running them. Oh, the bear market is over. The bull run is here. No, it's not. This is not a crypto bull run. In fact, there is nothing that happened in crypto that caused this. This is an outside force. See, those nerds are busy reading charts, and that's all they look at. They have no concept of geopolitics. What's going on in Russia, Ukraine, with China, with Japan? What's going on with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin and Congress? What's going on with the banks? See, all of these outside forces is what impacted the crypto market. What happened is crypto performed as it was designed to do, as a store of value. So people are afraid to put their money in, keep their money in the banks, pull their money out and put it in crypto, a safe haven. Now, ain't that something? It's not going to last, though. So be prepared. In fact, in our crypto talk, I already told you guys what the numbers are. When these numbers hit, here's what's going to happen next. But crypto was a benefit of this, just like gold and silver as well. It's a store of value. All right. What this also did was highlighted a major failure in the banking system that we always knew was going to fail. Something called fractional reserve banking. What does that mean? When you go to your 9-to-5 job and you work and you get paid and you get a direct deposit into your bank, and if you're making $3,500 a month or $10,000 a month, whatever it is, by law, that bank only has to keep on its books 10%. They take the other 90% and they invest it. And they use that to go buy those government bonds that they know they're going to get a guaranteed return on investment from, because that's what the Fed was telling them. They invest in property, real estate, other people's businesses. Like I said, if you haven't done so, watch It's a Wonderful Life. And they can do this because they know there's not going to be a run on the bank. If everybody went to the bank and tried to pull their money out at the same time, there's not enough money to go around, and that's where you have a bank run. You have no liquidity. You'll hear that word a lot in the banking world right now on the news about Bank of America, Chase, and all the big banks coming together and dropping $30 billion to try to bail out some of the smaller banks, and it's not working. And the reason why it's not working is because the people don't have confidence. They don't believe you anymore. They're scared. So this fractional reserve banking ultimately doesn't work, but it's legalized. They want to come down on the network marketing industry, try to call everything a Ponzi scheme and scam and a pyramid, and saying you're taking new people money to pay old people. That's what the banks do. If Brenda goes to her direct deposit, puts her money in, but she doesn't take anything out, and the bank takes 90% of that, and then some laws were passed where the banks can do 100% of your money. And then Tammy comes behind Brenda and wants to withdraw more than 10% of her money. Where does the bank get the rest of that? They pull it from Brenda's cash. They're taking new people's money and paying old people. But it's legal for them to do it. Fractional reserve banking is destined to fail eventually. And it is built on a house of cards that is fragile and can blow over with the wind. Oh, wow. I spent 19 minutes running my mouth about that. I want to set the scene so you have a clear understanding, because I want to learn something new again. I haven't read this lesson in more than 4 months. So let's get into this. This is a 4-month-old lesson. So banks versus DeFi. We are currently living through the biggest transitional period in human history. That is true. The rapidly changing times we are experiencing are exposing the faults in the systems we've been indoctrinated into. The unsustainable nature of the current economic model is blatant as the house of cards begins to sway. Inequality continues to soar endlessly, but there is hope. Decentralized finance is on the rise, and the benefits for its users have the potential to blow traditional banking into oblivion. The state of banking and finance today presents a complex labyrinth that even seasoned bankers struggle to navigate. Despite appearances, there is a method to this madness. As Nobel Prize winners like Muhammad Yunus and Joseph Stiglitz have cautioned in the past, central banking has morphed to keep the status quo in check. Or in the words of Mike Maloney, an expert on monetary history and economics, it is the biggest scam in the history of mankind. You guys got to remember that. Think of that. The money you hold precious and dear, the current banking system, is the biggest scam in the history of mankind. Maloney reasons that giving a small group of unelected individuals, that's the Fed. The Federal Reserve is not the government. It is a private organization, not elected. Giving a small group of unelected individuals the keys to the monetary printing press will undoubtedly rot away the buying power of workers' savings for the benefit of the few who benefit from asset price inflation. In the wake of the global financial crisis, again, this is 4 months ago, I put this together. In the wake of the global financial crisis and devastating bank runs around the world. Whoa. There wasn't a bank run yet in the United States when I did this, but we're seeing it now. Individuals and small business owners who simply want to keep the wealth they have earned are increasingly asking, is my bank working for me? Or am I working for my bank? Think about that. The bank is charging you money for the privilege of holding your money. And then they charge you a fee to move the money. And then they charge you a fee if you're withdrawing the money. And then they turn around and make stupid investments. And next thing you know, you don't have no more money. But you're not too big to get bailed out. Until recently, there were simply no alternatives to central bank currencies, nor could anyone provide the services of commercial investment banks. Now, this isn't something that is brand new. The problem was there was no alternative. And people, this is the system we had. This is the only thing we know. That's why we've been indoctrinated. But what if there is an option? This is why being crypto educated is so important. Why I scratch my head where somebody would scoff at $49 a month to get crypto educated. Are you kidding me? Go lose all your money then. Crypto education is the most important thing that you can actually ever get in this new world, financial banking world that we are going to have to deal with, whether we like it or not. Oops, here we go. Too fast. Today, with cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance platforms on the scene, the institutional banks are no longer the only players in the game. What was once the unquestioned and even unchecked power of institutional banks before the 2008 financial crisis is now up for grabs as thousands of new entrants compete to change the foundations of financial systems as we know it. So what does this mean for the average person? Dang, it's like I wrote this yesterday. This is 4 months ago. To clear some of the fog, let's compare the benefits of DeFi versus traditional and centralized banking and finance from the perspective of the individual and small and mid-sized enterprises, business owners. So Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, what's the other one? Silvergate Bank. These are small regional banks. Now, we all know the big banks like Bank of America, Chase, Mellon. But why is there a need for the smaller banks? Because as Americans, we like that privacy. We like that more homegrown, small town feeling to do with my money is working in my community. big government doesn't have access to my funds, blah, blah, blah. That's not what the government wants. The government wants to control it all. The Fed wants to control it all. So who's getting hurt by all this right now? The small, individual, mid-sized enterprises. But we now have options. With traditional financial system, think of this as the Federal Reserve right here in the middle. And then think of all these as your banks. And then you interact with the banks. But the banks also have banks. Last year, and I think I need to pull it up again. Ms. Casa, keep reminding me of that. I got to do another reading of the Federal Reserve's proposed white paper on the digital dollar. That decision was made in 2014, and they actually told the truth. But they told the truth in plain sight because they know people don't like to read. And even if they read it, they don't understand what they're reading. That there's 3 forms of money, and that the most popular form of money is the cash in your hands. That's the only money that the average person knows about. But where the real money is, the average person doesn't even have access to. Only the wealthy and the banks do. Even Jamie Dimon said it publicly when he ran his mouth against crypto, then announced he's creating his own CBDC with JP Morgan privately for the millionaire investors. Not even the average people in his bank is playing with that. Only the super rich have access to this. So there are other forms of money you don't even know about. I used to do a series, I got to bring it back, especially when I get back on the road, called the river, not just the river of money, but money is energy. People don't even realize what money is. Money is energy. But anyway, it's another topic. Decentralized financial system means you get rid of this middleman. We have to trust this system in the traditional. In the decentralized, we don't have to trust anybody. All we have to do is trust the math. 2 + 2 will always be 4, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump. 2 + 2 will always be 4. You can't dispute that because you believe differently. Decentralized is based on math. The individual takes on the risk of lending their savings to banks. This is traditional finance. Most banks use fractional reserve banking, which means if someone deposits $100, the bank can lend out $90 and only has to keep $10 of it on hand at any time. Why do you think they give you hell if you're trying to withdraw a lot of money? Like I told you about that one rapper, that mumble rapper that was crying because he wanted to pull out $100,000 so he could stunt on the weekend with his boys at the strip club, and they only gave him $30K. And he went on social media crying. They only gave me $30,000. It's my money. Yeah, you thought it was your money. Not in your possession, not your money. That even goes with the banking system. Your money's sitting in the bank. It's their money. They're just giving you access to it when they feel like it. And then you got to fill out all these forms. Why are you pulling this much out? What are you planning on doing with it? It's not your concern. It's my money. But they make you jump through hoops to discourage you from doing it. So much of this is invested in complex financial instruments that may be highly exposed to credit defaults, as the 2008 crisis showed. Now, what happened last week is not like 2008. It is 2 completely different things. Do you realize that 2008 was only 7 years removed from people not even realizing that the internet was going to be the next big thing? You guys realize that? I shared that this morning in Crypto Talk, that the articles was talking about that the internet in the year 2000 was only a fad. So you almost have banks, but you have the mortgage default crisis. But this one is different. We got the Fed trying to slow down inflation, but you can't kill all the banks at the same time. So they did it in a way that they were able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's slow down inflation and let's hurt the little banks at the same time. Now, again, I'm only giving my opinion on what went down. Some of you will still believe it's the woke Democratic leftist policies that brought it down. Some of you may still believe, oh, it's just an attack on crypto. None of those are true, in my opinion. It has to do with this. Fractional reserve banking, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates, and all of their government bonds went down and defaulted. That's it. That's actually the truth what happened. The expansion of $100 through fractional lending at various rates. Got to be kidding me, this. The individual's buying power declines by default. That's why Robert Kiyosaki says it is economically foolhardy to keep your money in a savings account because you're losing money every day. The individual's buying power declines. Fiat money stored in banks is tied to the monetary system, which can be devalued by inflation and currency debasement. So if you put $100,000 into a bank account at the start of the year, and the United States dollar currency debasement is 10% for the year, then by year's end, your savings can buy 10% less than before. So how many of you grew up saying, yeah, you got to have a savings account, save your money to get rich? I was taught that. I was taught you got to tithe, 10% of tithing, and then put money in a savings account. That's the wrong way to do it. Millionaires and billionaires only have enough money in bank accounts for their living expenses, to pay their bills, maybe buy a couple of toys when they need be to have certain cash on hand. They don't have all their money in banks. Their money is in investments. In fact, instead of them putting money in a bank, they invest in the bank. There's a difference there. I think Ms. Peterson had asked that question. What's the difference between, a depositor and an investor? Two different things. Standard interest rates can be around 0.03% to 0.09%. But if currency debasement is 10%, for instance, then you're still down 9.91 to 9.97%. I never forget that time I was in the bank and they were like, when you have large deposits, you don't just go into the normal teller. They take you off to their little cubicles, right? And she was like, yeah, if you maintain this account above $40,000, we're going to give you an extra $500 bonus after 6 months and an extra, I think, 0.01% or something on top of that for the year. And I was like, wait a second. How much money are you going to make off of that money? Well, if they take that 40,000, because remember they use fractional reserve banking, and they invest that 40,000, what if they make 15% on it on the year? Or what if they make 20% on the year? And they want to give me 1.5%? and they keep 18% profit off of my money? I said, I'll make more money doing my own investing and trading by myself than letting it sit in this account. I like what Mr. Day 5, Herschel Crow, said this a couple of months back. And by the way, you guys are going to see him up again on 5-day challenge next week. But he said, he don't have a cold storage wallet because his money's not working for him if it's just sitting there. You want your money to be working for you at any given time. Your money is your employee. That's another discussion. Let's keep going here. Traditional finance. Here, average interest rates at major U.S. banks. You got to be kidding me. If you had a savings account, money market accounts, interest checking. This is insulting. Chase Bank, Citibank, HSBC, Huntington National, even if everybody has a savings account, 0.4%, 0.02, 0.5, 0.05, 0.02. But they want to jump on any network marketing company or anything that's doing compound interest and saying, oh, yeah, we're giving you 3% a week. Or we're giving you 15% a month. Oh, illegal. That's what the banks are doing. But they're not giving it to you. They're keeping it for themselves. They're taking the risk. So the government doesn't want you to take risks with your money, but they're willing to take risks with your money. Legalized. a license to steal. There are often hurdles opening accounts and accessing certain banking services. Banks set their own arbitrary requirements, such as loyalty. Yeah, like how many years have you been banking with us and we give you extra credit? Minimum balances, like $2 million, credit checks, and access to banking services. The individual's data is tracked and is technically the bank's data. And this is by law, according to Riley versus California. All of your data belongs to the bank, not you. The range of financial products offered is limited. Loan applications are usually tedious and difficult to pass, excluding many who may need it the most. I tell, when we just had Black History Month, one of the major things is in our community, the ability to get fair loans regardless of the color of your skin. My answer to that is screw them. Why try to force them to change their system that's not designed for you? We can create our own. You can be your own bank. Crypto is freedom. But you got to be educated to know what to do about it. People are trying to get loans. It's how central banks print and steal currency. Number one, the government creates debt through the issuance of bonds, stealing prosperity from the future. The Treasury then borrows currency from bonds, and the debt is auctioned off to large global banks. The banks buy portions of the national debt and take their cut as the money is transferred throughout the system. You guys see that? The government creates the debt. They issue the bonds because they issue the bonds that the other banks bought into. And then they raise the interest rate so that bank loses money on that bond. And then they swoop in and take the bank over. That's a hostile takeover. The fact that people ain't rioting in the streets right now shows that most people are as ignorant to our own financial system. They don't even know how it works. Number two, the banks sell the bonds to the Federal Reserve for a profit. So government creates debt. Then the Treasury borrows money, creating bonds. They sell the bonds to the banks. The banks then sell the bonds right back to the Federal Reserve. It's like one big circle. The Federal Reserve pays for the bonds from a non-existent balance by creating currency out of thin air because it ain't backed by gold. So they just make it up. The currency is passed on to the banks, who buy more bonds with the newly created currency that was created out of thin air, adding to the national debt. And then they raise the interest rates, and then you have a bank run. Banks are the middleman for currency creation. Number three, the Treasury disperses the newly created currency throughout various sectors of the government. The government spends the newly created currency on public works, social programs, but here's the big one, and war. Do you know America's war budget is larger than every other nation combined? You take every nation on the planet, add up how much they spend on their defense, and it doesn't even match what the United States does by itself. The government employees then take their earned money, and what do they do with that same money? They deposit it right back into the same bank. This is, ladies and gentlemen, what you call modern day slavery, and you don't even realize you're a slave. So you turn around and give them the same money that they made up out of thin air, and you're working your hours for them. Oh, I'm glad I've been missed, but I ain't gone anywhere. Whoever that is, Facebook user, I'll put you up there. I ain't been missed. You just haven't been seeing me. I am live Monday through Saturday. You got to be in my inner circle every Monday morning. And every Tuesday and Wednesday night, I do this class. I'm just doing it open now. Send myself or my assistant, Miss Marnita Casa, a message. Let's get you plugged in so you're not missing out on this. But I appreciate it. But I don't know who you are. It just says Facebook user for me. Anyways, I'm glad people miss me. I like that. So, after they created the money out of thin air, sold it to you, you go to work, make money, you give it right back into the bank. You just basically giving them free labor. When depositing currency into a bank, the bank does not actually hold on to the currency. The deposited currency is treated as a loan. Do you hear that? When you deposit money into the bank, they're treating it like a loan. And the banks use the loan to profit through various methods. How central banks print and steal currency. Number 4, banks leverage their investments with their account holders' deposits. So what did Sam Bankman-Fried, what's his major charge? You remember the CEO of FTX? They're saying he used account holders' money to do other investments. But wait a minute. That's exactly what the banks do. The banks are using your money, not their money, your money for investments. And they're only required to hold a small fraction of their account holders' deposits in the vault while they loan out the majority. This process is called fractional reserve lending. What this means is that banks are legally able to take the vast majority of a depositor's currency and loan it out for a profit without the permission of the account holder. And we're okay with that? If a business did that, you'd be screaming bloody murder. You'd be calling your state attorney general and the SEC. You'd want a class action lawsuit. But the banks do this every day. The currency is then loaned out with interest. The loan is spent into the economy, and the currency is deposited back into banks. The bank then loans out the newly received currency, and the process is repeated, creating leverage upon leverage. This expansion of the currency is responsible for inflation. Number 5, our taxes are funneled back into the same system. So then we're paying taxes on made up money. It's like now, you know what's worse than being a slave? You are paying to be a slave. Do you guys understand that? It's not worse that you're getting free labor, but you are paying for the privilege of you being a slave. The IRS takes the taxpayer's currency and hands it over to the Treasury. The Treasury pays the debt owed by the Federal Reserve from the borrowed bonds. The majority of our taxes go directly back in bonds borrowed by the Federal Reserve with interest. Like I said, the biggest scam in modern history. Number 6, the system is designed to require an endless supply of debt. An endless supply of debt. Now, a nation can't run on a debt-based system unless you're the United States. Because who buys our debt? the rest of the world does. Why does the rest of the world buy our debt? Because the US dollar is the most stable fiat system on the planet. Why is that? Because after World War II, the rest of the planet got smashed by 2 world wars, and the United States remained untouched outside of Pearl Harbor, and we helped rebuild the rest of the world using our money. So they can trust our money, and it's the world reserve currency. But what happens when the day comes where the rest of the world decides we no longer need the United States dollar? What's going to happen then? That day is going to come. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The system is designed to require an endless supply of debt. There will always be more debt than currency. So when you see our national debt, it will never be paid off. That's why Congress, 60-something times, keep raising the ceiling on it. They're not worried about ever paying it off. But it's not unlimited. There will be a breaking point at some point. The entire system is a paradox that is doomed to fail from the start. But who cares as long as the rich get rich, right? Number 7, the private owners of the Federal Reserve, then they take their cut. Remember, this is a private group. They take their cut. The world's largest banks own the Federal Reserve. The vast majority of the profit in the monetary system is funneled from the working class back into the hands of the people who run it, the slave masters. It's not the government. It's those who is running the Federal Reserve. Now let's talk about decentralized finance. Okay, you guys ready? You have a clear picture and understanding of how the current banking system works, at least from a remedial standpoint? Because most people don't. A lot of people still think we're on the gold standard. Decentralized finance. Individuals have complete control over their finances and can freely trade or even put their assets into cold storage for greater security. Individuals can invest in a broad range of assets like Bitcoin that are not pegged to the dollar and can act as a hedge against inflation. Users can put their savings to work for them on DeFi lending platforms and trade digital assets like tokenized art. While it is volatile, returns can be anywhere from 2% to 50,000%, not 0.01% at a freaking bank, with options to stake. Oh, wow, it's really coming down. Like I said, Californians, we're not used to this. What's that coming out the sky? There are fewer, if any, locked-in contracts to use services. Individuals can come and go as they please. There are no bank fees, although there can be gas fees like on Ethereum or exchange fees. Individuals can open anonymous accounts to trade and store their wealth. So there is no KYC on this. It's your money. You do what you want as you will, and they don't need to know who you are. This is why I think it's very interesting that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is coming out and making this stance about CBDCs, because what he's actually doing is proving the case for crypto. I don't even think he realizes that. He's looking at it from a political standpoint. We don't want the government to know how many guns we're buying, how much ammo we want, that I built an underground compound. That's our business, not the government's business. Individuals can access greater financial products like instant loans and leverage trading. So here, it doesn't matter who you are, where you were born, man, woman, or child, do you have a college degree or not, what's your credit score, what's your last name? None of that matters. Individuals can access greater financial products like instant loans and leverage trading without lengthy and complex approvals, using their crypto as collateral. Overall, the newfound benefits of decentralized finance are sure to give traditional banks a run for their money. Indeed, as analysts like Robert Breedlove suggested, according to the principles of game theory, institutional banks will have no choice but to join the revolution to remain relevant, and they already are. If you don't need to believe me. Whatever bank you're banking with right now, Google their bank name and then put either metaverse or blockchain next to it and watch what pops up. Your head's going to explode. They are already preparing for this. So even conservative fund managers like Ray Dalio and David Morgan have joined the bandwagon, publicly speaking about adding cryptocurrencies to their portfolios. Just recently, United Wholesale Mortgage announced they will accept Bitcoin for mortgage repayments. And with the news of the world's first Bitcoin exchange traded fund, ETF, the rate of adoption of decentralized finance within traditional finance is set to take off even further. Remember, I put this together 4 months ago. This is before this current bank run. It seems that decentralized finance has won its first battle, but the war is not over yet. At the time of writing, this article is up to 98% of the world's executives that were surveyed remain invested in traditional banking system. Well, you think that might have changed after last week? Indeed, over $127 trillion of funds globally are managed through banks and bank-centric payment gateways. Stop right there. Wait. Let me continue. Whereas the market cap on cryptocurrencies is at a paltry, it's not at 2.2 trillion. Right now it's at 1.22 trillion. So think, blockchain and crypto is still in its infancy. 1.2 trillion is nothing compared to 127 trillion. What if, just dream mode with me now. What if crypto just got, because of all the drama, the fear, uncertainty, the mistrust and distrust of banking industry, what if just 10% of that rolled into the crypto space? 10%. We're talking about a $17 trillion crypto industry. The biggest it ever got was a little over 3, maybe 4 trillion. I think 3.2 something trillion was the biggest it ever got. Can you imagine? What if it was 17 trillion? Those of you who are getting yourselves plugged in today, you're getting educated today, you are learning today, you are putting yourself in a position to accumulate today because you're thinking about tomorrow. Your families will be done for the next 100 years. As Herschel said, everyone on this call would be rich. You know, the worst feeling is, and I'll tell you guys, there's 2 truths I'm going to give you right now. With you listening to me right now, you are positioning yourself to be ahead of 99% of the planet. You'll be in that 1 percentile if you take action. But if you don't take action, you will be kicking yourself later down the road because you'll say, I remember, I was there, I could have, I should have, I didn't. It's worse to know and do nothing than it is to be ignorant and not even know that the game is being played. Then, you can't blame anybody. You can't blame yourself. You just didn't know. You didn't know it was there. But to know it's there and still do nothing, shame on you on that. That's why I said this is legacy. And in the age of social media now, where everything you do is recorded, your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, when they're reading about this in history, as long as the politicians don't take it out of history because they don't like what's being taught, but if they read about this time in history, they're going to say, this was like the newest industrial revolution, but they're going to call it the digital revolution. We all at school read about the third industrial revolution. But how many of us know what our great-great-grandparents were doing during that time? How much of it is documented? Our grandchildren and great grandchildren will read about this in history. Dang, why are we still broke? And then they can actually pull up social media and they can see exactly what their ancestors were doing during this time. They can see all of your TikToks, all of your selfies on Instagram, what you posted on Facebook, what you had for dinner last night, what other bullshit stuff you got going on in your life that has nothing to do with your finances and your future. Your children and descendants will see that, and they'll know exactly why they are where they are right now. I'm a Morehouse man, and because of legacy, that eats at me. There is no way my great-grandchildren ain't going to know my name. And they'll know exactly why, because this is all recorded. They can hear it directly from my mouth, not some made-up history book. All right, going off on a tangent. Let's stay focused. This means that in the next 10 years, at least, there remains a sizable, addressable market for companies seeking to bridge the gaps between the new decentralized finance and the old centralized finance. Driving this growth is the rising regulatory acceptance of crypto and the availability of new tools for businesses to use crypto in a compliant way. Did I lose you guys? Are you still with me? Type Y in the chat box, because I don't want this to go over your heads. Like I say, I like to teach in a way that my mama can understand. Because if my mom can understand it, then I know it's working. I was trying to listen to some other guru financial advisors, and the stuff they were saying was going over my head. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Firstly, major financial hubs like, wait. So this means that in the next 10 years, at least, there remains a sizable addressable market for companies seeking to bridge the gaps between the new decentralized finance and the old centralized finance. Driving this growth is the rising regulatory acceptance of crypto. I don't know about that. Things have changed since FTX went down. And the availability of new tools for businesses to use crypto in a compliant way. Firstly, major financial hubs like Singapore now have clear licensing regimes for crypto companies. This allows crypto companies to operate with the same legitimacy as traditional financial institutions. Oh, what's happening, cousin? I see you, Barbara Bibbs. Regulatory acceptance gives institutional investors and large multinationals transact in crypto. Secondly, there are now tools that allow businesses to manage their crypto payments in a compliant manner. For instance, remote workers and business owners can issue and track invoices denominated in one currency like USD and get paid in any other currency like Ether. This simplifies processes like invoicing, payroll, and accounting in crypto. Oops. So while decentralized finance is yet to achieve mainstream adoption, two things remain certain for the individual. First, the need for banks to compete to win will increase. Second, you as an individual have more power than ever to benefit from the changing state of finance. This is perhaps the greatest victory of them all. So no matter what theory you believe on why the banks are having a crisis now, whether it's a war on crypto, whether it's the woke leftist democratic banking policies, or whether what I believe that the Federal Reserve is instituting a hostile takeover to implement CBDCs. One thing that we all can agree on that a change is coming, whether we like it or not, and we've got to be ready and prepared for it. As a disclaimer, this information is intended for educational and training purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. As with all financial decisions, you should contact your licensed financial advisor before investing in any financial instrument. Now, I actually like that lesson. I think that lesson was great, and I don't need to change anything yet. So what we're going to do now is what we normally do in our diamond only classes, where our members are able to ask questions. So that was a live lesson from our course. You can go, Ms. Casa, if you could post for me the link if you want to get our courses. You can get them individually: Bitcoin 101, Crypto Advanced, How to Trade Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency, Internet of Things, Decentralized Finance, NFTs, and Metaverse. You can get them individually for $350 each, or as a bundle pack for $14.97. That is one lesson in the DeFi series. So you guys got to see it live. So now let's go to Q&A. So those of you guys see members that's on here right now, these are our founding members or diamond members in the ILCA community. And guys, remember, don't be too hard on me. DeFi is my weakest knowledge. So you might ask a question that I cannot answer. But if you do ask me a question I cannot answer, that means I know what I need to go look up so I can learn some more. So who wants to go first? You guys didn't raise your hand. All right, Herschel's up there first. All right, Herschel, hit.
All right. Education is key. Education is everything. I also have to add, information is powerful to go along with that. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt is what we just saw happen in real life, acting out with the banks over the last couple of weeks. What you covered this evening shed a light on a lot of what people have already been saying, or their thought process around cryptocurrency. It was almost like you take out bank and put in crypto or blockchain technology and everything that goes along with it, they would have thought you was talking about crypto. So now the people that were under the sound of your voice this evening, that heard what you said, that found it to be an aha moment for them, I also can understand how they may actually now be like, well, wait a minute. It's like I'm starting at ground zero. I don't know what to do, because everything I thought is not what I thought it was.
That's right.
Given the fiat currency side in the banking, and now the DeFi space and cryptocurrency, what would you, Brandon, recommend for those individuals that are just now getting started in the crypto space, or that have been in hearing and listening a little bit, but really haven't put their toes in the water heavily, but they have fiat money? What do they do? Do they leave it in the bank? Do they divide it up amongst multiple banks? Do they put it in crypto? What do you do now?
Great question. Okay, so let me state it again, especially for those that might have came on late. As a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor to be giving any type of financial advice. I can just share you some suggestions, and then it is up to you. And those of you that are diamond members that's asking how can you get on the panel side so that you can ask questions just like what Herschel did, send a message to my executive assistant, Ms. Marnita Casa, and she will send you the link. I can only have on StreamYard up to 9, and right now we got 4 individuals. So there is room for more if you've got questions. So what can an individual do? Well, we know, like Herschel said, education is key first. So first, make a decision to get yourself educated. Join a community. It doesn't have to be ILCA community. If you find another community out there that it fits you more, then by all means do so. But join a community of like-minded individuals because you need to have a buddy. You need to have a support system while you're on this journey. You can't do it by yourself. That's first. In the meantime, while you're learning what an individual can do, I believe in diversification. So if you are afraid of what your bank is going to do, you have options. I would not, if it was me, leave all my money in the bank. I would diversify, and probably if I'm with a small regional bank right now, if you still don't understand crypto yet, to be safe, I would take my money out of that small bank and I would move it to one of the bigger banks. Or if you have less than $250,000, then you're going to be insured anyway if that bank goes down. But that leaves how fast or how long will it take for you to have access to that money. Now they'll make it so that it's a quick and easy process. I just don't want to go through that hassle. So to be on the safe side, I would, if I'm going to stay with the banking system, I would end up moving it to a bigger bank or at least 50%. I would take 50%, leave it in that current bank and move it and diversify other banks. Now, if you're now realizing that, wow, the crypto industry is exploding, it seems to be safe, I would move money into crypto, not necessarily a stable coin, because people are afraid of what happened with USDC, because USDC had money in these banks, but USDC was smart. They had it diversified. I would move it into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most strongest, safest, secure crypto coin out there, and it's gone up by 35% over the past week. So now at least you made money on your money. And then you could take some profit out of that and diversify it and move it around. But that's just me. The point is, I would be diversified with it. I wouldn't have it all eggs in one basket or one bank. So that makes sense, Mr. Crow?
Absolutely. And one thing you just mentioned there at the end was that in this situation, people took their money out of the banks and put it into cryptocurrency, which helped drive the market, the crypto market. Now, when you take into account historical events, 9 times out of 10, what goes up, not 10 times out of 10, what goes up must come down. Mm-hmm. So if you were one of those individuals that did take it out and put it into Bitcoin, if you will, and the value went up, and then you turn around and it comes back down, are you now looking to take it out and put it somewhere else?
Yeah. And I said this in Inner Circle, I have a number. If I still think the banks is still unsettled. So there's still fear, uncertainty until it settles. So more money is going to continue to flow in. I believe that Bitcoin can end up getting to 33 to 35K before we hit that ceiling. When that happens, what I would end up doing if I had pulled my money from the bank into crypto, I would move it into a stable coin, USDC. Now I made money on that. So when the market comes back down, I don't ride it all the way down. I have that value. So I made money on my money. Then if as I'm learning, if it comes down, then I will buy right back into Bitcoin or move it back into, if you found a more stable bank to put your money into, because a lot of these people are not crypto enthusiasts. They're just afraid. And they were on the golf course with their buddy, and their buddy said, yeah, man, I'm saving my money. I moved it into Bitcoin. What? How do I do that? Call up their account. Yeah, move my money into Bitcoin. But they don't understand the concept about it. But that's a dangerous thing to do. That's why education is important. You got to know when to pull out, because this is not a natural, normal crypto run cycle. This is a fear, and it's going to come back down. So be careful with that as well. So great question, Mr. Crow. All right, that's the one that had their hand up was Patty, Miss Patty Geis. Go right ahead. I don't hear you. It says that you're unmuted. Can anybody else hear Patty? Huh. Well, while you're doing that, I see real quick, Sasha Brown type, what do you consider big banks Does that mean banks that aren't credit unions? I don't have any answers about credit unions. People have been asking me that. But big banks is Bank of America, JP Morgan, the banks too big to fail, that the governments would drop money on in a second. So that's what I would consider a big bank, not your local regional banks that is only in your region, like Silicon Valley Bank is only in California. It's not around the country. All right, Patty, you straight? Now you're showing as muted. You're unmuted, but I can't hear you. I don't either. Well, go ahead and type it. Type your question in the chat box. All right. Anybody else who wants to go? Mr. Pendleton, go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so you just scared me because I'm a USDC guy, and I heard you in the same paragraph say people are a little leery about USDC, and then in a couple sentences later, you said you'd put your money in USDC. Mm-hmm. So can you explain that? And then I have another question.
Yeah, well, I already have money in USDC. So last Saturday, I asked that question on the crypto talk. I was like, I've got a decision to make because at that time USDC depegged from the dollar, and it went down to cents. And remember, I was like, I don't know if I can move it out and put it into Tether, but if I do that, I'm losing 10% of my value, or I can do 50% of it, and so at least I'm diversified a little bit to save myself. But I ended up doing nothing. And as a result of doing nothing, because I believe that USDC didn't do anything wrong. It's just people freaked out because they had some money sitting in SVB. And I knew it was going to come back. So I did nothing, and it came right back up to the dollar peg. So I have confidence that if I wanted to move money to stablecoin, I can move it into USDC. I believe that they're using multiple banks, and those banks, some of them are small regional banks, some of them are big banks that are licensed and registered with the United States government. They're fully audited. They know where that money is. So that's why I believe in them far more than I do Tether.
Okay, because that's what I use. All right, my next question, I missed a small part. You said the Federal Reserve raised the interest rates, and they did it to fight inflation. Said that lowered the value of the bonds, and you said full exposures would cause the panic. Who did the full exposure? And then you said that could have been fixed. How could we have fixed that?
Okay, the CEO did a full disclosure. He didn't have to do that, but he did a full disclosure because they were already being looked at behind the scenes for other stuff that he had going on with their investments. So legally, he's like, I need to CYA. I need to show that I'm being above board. This is a weekend. Nobody's paying attention. It'll be solved by Monday. We've done this hundreds of times before. Only problem was that other investors got wind of this and they sounded the alarm, kind of like what CZ did to FTX. That if CZ didn't do that tweet, FTX might have survived if they could have made it to Monday. But since CZ did that tweet, everybody got wind of it, and he said, "Oh, I just pulled out $3 billion." What? So all the bots out there see a huge transaction like that. They start responding. All the other traders see the bots, all this money moving. They start responding, and now you had a run on FTX. And then CZ, what? I didn't do nothing. What did I do? And then, I'll buy you guys out. He tried to do a hostile takeover. And then when he realized, when the government jumped in, oh no, I'm not going to touch him. But the damage was already done at that point, and it exposed Sam Bankman-Fried. It's not that he was doing anything. He was doing something illegal. It's just that all these guys do illegal crap all day. It's just not exposed, and they cover it before they have a problem, before there's a run on the bank. We just don't know it. See, for every failure, we don't know how many times this has succeeded with different CEOs and different businesses. They're like, dang, I only got 24 hours to shore up these books before the doors open up, and they pull a hat out their ass and make it happen. But sometimes they don't, and that's what happened here. but it was the CEO who messed that up.
And that's the CEO of the Federal Reserve?
No, the CEO of Silicon Valley Bank.
Oh, okay. And what could he have done to fix it if it hadn't gotten out?
Not non-disclosure, said
and
nothing.
It fixed itself?
And done it, did it privately. He was doing it privately, but he just went public. Said, I'm doing a public. If he just did it privately, then he wouldn't have had no problem. And
what would he have done, though? That's what I'm curious about.
Say that again?
What would he have done, though?
Oh, these are private conversations with his investors. He's like, hey guys, I need to raise a quick 1.5 billion. He could have probably gone to Bank of America, gone to Jamie Dimon, and they will give him the money and with some interest, and say, well, you just pay, and because they know he's good for it. So he would have raised the money with no problem. It's just that since he went public, next thing you know, people started withdrawing all the money. But yeah, he should have kept it, but he didn't want to keep it private because they were being investigated. And if the investigation, if it could have took another 2 or 3 months down the road, and then it would come out at one point you had a liquidation shortage and you didn't inform, your board or your investors about it, and now he's in trouble for that. So he was trying to CYA. In the process, he ended up causing a bank run. Now, other CEOs, they're not going to make that mistake because they see how fast social media happened. That $40 billion was pulled while the banks were closed. That has never happened before in history. And they waited at least till Monday morning. All right. Anything else, Michael? You good? Okay. Let's see. Patty, are you back? Go ahead and unmute yourself. No, I still don't hear anything. Yeah, Sasha, you're right. It's a Wonderful Life reality that happened with people's cell phones. That's exactly what happened. A classic bank run. All right, let me see. Who else is that? Miss Mikasa, did you have a question? I saw Sue on here a second ago. Where did Sue go? I forgot to bring you up here, Sue. Sue, come on back. So, Marnita, do you have any questions, comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me just say this. Brandon Ivy, thank you so very much for not only breaking down what you did about the banks, but thank you for opening this to the public. I have to admit, I'm 43 years old and I learned so many new things within a matter of just an hour. So as far as I'm concerned, this was necessary. It's very, very important. And for my people that follow me, thank you so very much for informing us and waking us up to all this information.
No problem at all. Thank you guys for listening and plugging in. That's the first step. Most people won't. They're watching the NCAA basketball tournament right now. All right. Sue Williams said, would it be better to also pull that and into crypto? Some of it. I mean, that's an option. That's what I was saying with Herschel's question. I can't know. Oh, click on that same link you did before, Sue, and I'll bring you back. I saw you on there. I just didn't click on you to pull up on the screen. So just come on, click that link again. All right. Anybody else? There's Steve Randall. Steve, go right ahead.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Today on the on our crypto talk, we saw the price of XRP, XDC, and a couple other coins that's related to the ISO 2022 standard, which is the new standard for the international money transfer for the big banks and big business, whatever. So, so how do you think that they will ever use those same standards in the U.S. banking system? Because you using that standard would pretty much keep them from doing crazy stuff and hiding it. So everything they do will be out and open. So would that be one of those things they say, okay, that's a good idea, or no, we're not going to do that because we don't want people to know what we're doing?
If it's a CBDC, then yeah, they'll do it because they got full control anyway. So they don't have any oversight. The way the system is right now, probably not. But we're getting to that point. And it depends on what the politicians now do, because the people are going to start screaming. And how do we prevent a further bank run? And how do we prevent these issues from happening again that was outside of our control? What new legislations can we put in place? What roadblocks can we put there? That can be a discussion. But right now, their focus is on creating the whole CBDC, which is why you have Ron DeSantis now screaming loud, and you're going to start to see other Republican governors. Next will be Texas, and Youngkin and others are going to start coming out. And now political divide is going to be placed on this, which is now putting these Republican governors against the Federal Reserve. This is going to be an interesting fight. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out. Hope that makes sense. All right. Next up is Sue. Wait. Sue was right there a second ago. Oh, there she is. There you go, Sue. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
This is trickier than usual.
Yeah, well, this is the first time we ever did it
I've
this
been
way.
in here and out of here like 5 different times. So my question is if you say you have annuities in your bank and you've also taken part of your 401 and you've put that like into a stock market type setting with your bank, with everything that's going on, is it better to pull those things out or let them sit where they are?
Those are not considered a regular bank account. That's an investment account that you have. So especially if it's under $250,000, it goes under the same. It's being insured. So that doesn't matter. You can keep it there. That's insured. Nothing's going to happen to it. But you'd have to like cash out of it the same way you would a crypto. If you're trying to cash your crypto back out in cash, you'd have to cash that out. So that's not the liquidity problem issue they're having. They're having in your normal checking or savings bank account balances that has been being affected. So now you do whatever you want with that. If you want to keep it there, if you want to cash it out and move it to something else, especially if the bank fails, but it's still going to be insured under $250,000.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
No problem. But remember, I'm not a licensed financial advisor, everybody.
I know. Plus, we have a credit union, so it's hard to know what's happening with those.
Yeah, and credit unions are all different. They're not all the same. Mm-hmm. So that's why I definitely don't give any suggestions on dealing with credit unions. But you got to talk to them about that, what their options are.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
No problem. All right. Anybody else? All right. Let me look at the Facebook real quick. No, we're good there. So, all right. Well, this was a first. This is the first time I did a class like this where I had a lot of people on the panel with me on this side. Those of you that this is your first time seeing this, now you see how our classes work on Tuesday and Wednesday night. To be a part of this class, you can click on the link when you want to purchase our courses, courses.ilca.io/courses. If you want to be a Diamond member, it is $199 a month to be a Diamond member. You go to ilcamarketing.com and purchase the $199 a month package. I got to tell you, it is worth it. I charge $250 an hour for my time. Here you're getting an hour to an hour and a half twice a week for 4 weeks for $199 a month for this type of information. So we encourage you to be a part of our community. And here's what's going to happen next. This is actually a 2-part series. This Saturday night, I also do a series only once a month called The Financial Storm. Crypto Storm is coming. I started it last August, was the first time I did it. And you guys are witnessing, those who have been a part of that class, You're witnessing what's playing out right now is what we talked about last August. Witnessing it live. So I got a lot more to talk about this come Saturday night about the financial storm, what's coming in the future, how to get ourselves prepared for it. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it, and we can be prepared for the storm. It's like what Jamie Dimon said. There is a financial hurricane coming, and we can't stop it. But JP Morgan is prepared. So we can prepare. If the big banks and businesses are getting prepared, if the government and the Federal Reserve is getting prepared, then us as citizens, we need to be prepared ourselves for our own families. And I'm just opening the door to showing you what's happening, and then you make the decision on how you want to move through it. Do you want to put on a hoodie? Do you want to put on a raincoat? Do you want to have an umbrella, or do you want to get yourself in a bunker? That's up to you, but you've got to at least have the information to know that it's coming. And that's what we do. So that's going to be Saturday night. The difference is from Saturday night from tonight is I'm not going to be doing StreamYard like I am right now. I'm not going to be doing it openly on all the Facebook groups. I'm going to be doing it on Zoom, but I'm going to stream live in our 5-day challenge Facebook group, which everybody can be a part of at no cost. So all people always talk about, oh, Brandon just tried to get everybody's money. Really? If I was, I'd be charging $1,000 a month like Brandon Brown does just to speak for 4 hours a month, 4 times. Instead, I'm basically giving everything away. So all you have to do is register at ilcachallenge.com or get the link from anybody who invited you here tonight. They have their own link. Register for the next 5-day challenge, which is next Monday. There's no cost. Once you register, you're going to get an email invitation to our private Facebook group, which is our 5-day challenge group. And from there is where it will be streamed live on Saturday night. Or if you're a Diamond or founding member, you'll be on Zoom with me, and you'll be able to, we can do Q&A. I'm sorry, Saturday night. You'll be able to do Q&A with me on Saturday night as well. So either way, you can be a part of us. So with that, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I'm going to go eat me some dinner. I will be back for Inner Circle Crypto Talk tomorrow morning. Those of you who are not in the Inner Circle, it's just $49 a month to get crypto every single day. Let me pull that link up. All you got to do is go to that link, ILC. Oops, wrong one. Oh, yeah, it's there. There we go. It's scrolling at the bottom. ILCA, it's not challenge, it's secrets. I thought I changed that. Hold on. Let me edit that. ilcasecrets.com/sales page. Secrets. ilcasecrets.com. There we go. Okay, scrolling at the bottom, ilcasecrets.com/sales page. $49 a month to get 4 days private Inner Circle Crypto Talk to stay up on the news on what's going on here. So with that, thank you guys for joining tonight. I hope you learned something new. As always, that's the point. Spread the word. 5-day challenge next week. We're back to our normal kind of rotation. We got Miss Marnita Casa and Herschel Crow will be back up next week on Thursday and Friday. We've got Dr. Byron Nelson on Monday. We have Eric Guthrie, the Amazon best-selling author of Blockchain or Die, on Tuesday. And then we have Professor Morehouse College Oscar Sistrunk up on Wednesday. So it's almost like a Morehouse thing still going on next week. So I hope you guys learned something new, have some fun, and stay aware. Take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Bitcoin Brandon out. Bye-bye.